Okay, what we have here is an old goalie mask, and this is well old, at least 20 years old, and it's a fiberglass mask with a fiberglass shell, so that's really solid. These fiberglass shells can last a very long time. But what I want to do is I want to refurbish this. The shell should be solid. The shell's going to last a long time, but we can see the mask is rusting a bit. Got rust across there. A little dent in the cat eye bend right here. And this is really going to be used as my backup mask. I'm going to have a different mask. So the first thing to do is to take off this hardware. We're going to get this down just to a bare shell. Okay. Uh-oh, this one is slipping behind. I have a feeling this one's not going to be straightforward to take out. Here, let's see if I can get the back plate out of the way. Undo the straps here. Back plate side. Well, we're gonna have to take this padding out eventually, so might as well start now. There we go. Popped it out. Hopefully we don't have to do that to any of these others. I really don't want to. Alright, now we just have a fiberglass shell with some gunk on it and some paint chips that I'd like to see if I can scrape down. So I'm just going to keep on scraping at this to get all this stuff out, and then we'll have just the shell of the mask.
I plan on ordering all new hardware for this goalie mask, but I still want to collect all the old hardware just because you never know when you might need it. To help remove some of the dried up glue and gunk on the inside of the mask, I used Goo Gone Extreme to place inside the mask and then used a razor blade to scrape it out. The next thing I did was got a power oscillating tool with a sanding attachment, plugged it in, and then sanded down the mask. Once the clear coat is fully removed from the mask, we're ready to move on to the next step.
And what I want to do now is something I've always wanted to do. I'm really not sure that I really need to do this, but I want to fill in some of the rough areas where it's a little bit rough and smooth it out with a gel coat. And gel coat adheres really well to fiberglass. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I actually have some of this ready to go. You can order this at boat supply stores. Now I actually got a small little tub, and this is probably what you need, like a shower and tub repair kit. There are some showers that are in tubs that are made from fiberglass, so they have these little kits. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of this, and take our gel. I'm just going to put it in this water bottle cup. Honestly, for this amount, probably 2 drops is overkill, so I'll just put 2 little drops of hardener, 1, 2, and now I'm just going to mix this all in here. Okay, so we got our gel coat mixed. Now I'm going to want to prep the area. What I did to clean this off is when I went to take a shower after I sanded this all off, I just brought the mask in with me and washed off. So it's probably pretty good, but just to make sure, I'm going to take this alcohol wipe that came with my little gel coat kit. and just wipe off the area that I'm going to apply this to. Now you don't want to try to rely on a gel coat to be structural, where it's going to, if you have a big crack in your mask, that's going to fix it. This is really just surface level, help makes things smooth if you have a few rough areas. Don't count on a gel coat to be protective. See, it's just kind of bumpy near the bottom. I'm just going to use the gel coat to smooth it out. Okay, you can see I went a little crazy with the gel coat. I went way far beyond what I initially planned to. I just covered with at least a thin layer any place where I got down to the fiberglass. I really didn't need to do that, but I always wanted to play with gel coat, and this was my chance. At this point, I can just let it dry and then come back a couple hours later. Maybe even I'll wait a day or so, and then sand all the Gel Pro down very smooth into the base paint so it's all flush and nice. After that, we can think about painting it. Okay, so my gel coat has hardened, and it's now time to start sanding this down. Actually, I should probably wet sand this. Alright everyone, I'm continuing to work on this gel coat, and I'm doing probably my fourth application of this. If you're good at it, you don't need to do so many applications like I am. I'm just finding this very difficult to work with, this gel coat. So I would say if you don't need to do this, don't. Try to skip this if you can. I would only use the gel coat if you have a big nick. And again, if you have beyond the neck where it's actually a crack that goes all the way through, you probably don't even want to use the shell of the helmet anymore. The type of difficulties I've been having has to do with mixing the formula so it hardens correctly. I've had some times where it does it appropriately. I put in the hardener, that's what this is, liquid hardener, and it hardens within the 30 minutes or so that it's supposed to, or 15 minutes. And you can see I just need a couple drops for that amount, and that might be even overdoing it. I'm not quite sure. You want it to be 1 to 2% hardener versus the rest of the filler. You need to get it mixed all the way in. Some of the issues I've had have also been with the gel coat not hardening at all. I either mixed too much or too little of it in and it never hardened, so I had to scrape off that entire coat of the gel coat and try to do another coat. It really hasn't been fun. You have to sand it afterwards. I'm almost done with it though, so it's been several days where I've been putting on coats, sanding, maybe scraping off a layer if it didn't harden, and then so on and so forth. And what I am finding is it's a lot of work. So if you don't need to do this, skip this step. And I also went overboard. Anytime I found a part where I sanded down where you could see the fiberglass, I put a thin coat. Totally unnecessary. You don't need to do that, especially since we're going to be painting overwards after. But hopefully if I do this right and it hardens, this will be my last coat, just filling in some of the unsmooth parts here. Okay, hopefully that's it, and that's my last layer, and I'm done with the gel coat. So I finally have the gel coat fully applied and smoothed out, sanded down so it's nice and smooth and ready to paint. I kind of overdid it with the gel coat, as I mentioned before. I really only needed it in a few spots. I only really needed it here in the chin. There was a spot up here that helped it smooth out, and a few places where there was hardware, you know, just smoothing out some of these holes for the hardware, like this one here, maybe a little bit there. That's all I really needed. I went a little overboard. At one point I was thinking about, you know, just covering a thin layer with any part where I got all the way down to the fiberglass, but it's really pointless. There was no need for me to do that, and it just made it harder for me to sand everything down and get it smooth and apply an even layer of the gel coat across the mask. All right, and I'm just about ready to paint. I have my little painting set up here.
one of the last things I want to do before I actually paint is just do a quick wipe off. I've already have this all sanded. I'm just going to use some rubbing alcohol and wipe it down, make sure there's no loose sanded material or dirt on there. All right, we're completely wiped down. I'm going to set up my mask. And what I'm going to use first is a primer. And I have this automotive primer already, and this should be good enough. There's lots of cars made out of fiberglass, same material as this mask. And I'm going to go ahead and spray this down. Alright, it's been 3 hours since I did my primer, and now I'm going to sand this primer down. The primer is very toothy, so I'm just going to sand it down smooth before we put down our final coat. So I'm just going to use a bottle of water. If you have a spray bottle, that would actually even work better. Now that it's sanded, I'm just going to rinse it off real quick, make sure there's no more loose sand on it. Alright, so our mask is primed, it's dried, it's been wet sanded to make it somewhat a little bit more smooth. I'm now ready to put my top coat on, which is going to be this Rust-Oleum Professional High Performance Enamel. I just already had this. I'd be fine to use regular black spray paint as well. But I'm just going to spray this on here, maybe do 2, maybe 3 coats on top before we do our clear coats. And that's what I'm going to do now, is start painting. And I'm just painting in a base color. I'm not doing anything fancy or pulling out an airbrush machine to get fine details like some people do on goalie masks. If you want detailed information on how to do a goalie mask painting like that, I would say to check out a video from GoPro Goalie Uzi, and he shows his process for detailing a goalie mask. So I got the shell looking pretty good to me, and now I'm just gonna throw some layers of clear coat on it to protect this enamel black color. Alright, so I'm going to be using this clear acrylic lacquer that I already had in my garage, just using what I already have to spray this over with a protective clear coat. So I'll just let that dry, and that should be it for painting. Okay, we have our mask here. It's now fully painted, clear coated, and I'm ready to add hardware to it. Now, what I typically recommend when it's time to put a cage on is I tell, especially for a backup mask, get a certified cage. Not only are they more protective, but you can often find these very cheap. What a lot of people do is they buy a goalie mask. It comes with a certified cage. They buy an expensive cat eye cage, and they just give these practically away. You can have these for 20 bucks or less if you look right. Now, it can get more difficult the rarer of a mask that you have, and then you just have to go with whatever you can get. In this case, this is an older style shell, so the only one I could find to fit it was this one. It is a cat eye, but it should go right on there. So, time to get the hardware and connect this all up. These little neoprene washers act like little shock absorbers, so these are great to have.
over top of the hardware. Okay. I also got a new chin cup, so I'm going to install that as well. Okay, now that we have the hardware installed, I can think about getting some new foam. So there's two types of foam. There's a small tan foam, and then there's a thick black foam. The thick black foam we're going to replace with EVA closed cell foam, 1/2 inch thickness. Then I also have a 1/4 inch thickness in black that I'll replace the tan with. So what I need to do is start tracing this out over some of these sheets that I have, and I've actually bought some in bulk, so I have some sheets right here. Trace it out and then cut it. So first step is just going to be tracing out all the foam pieces. Okay. So before I trace out the rest, I'm going to cut out this section and see how it compares to this, and if I like how I'm tracing or if I need to make adjustments. Not bad. Alright, let's do the same with the rest of the pieces here and see how it turns out. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this double-sided tape to just place some of this foam approximately where it should be, so then I can start to look at what fine-tune adjustment, what trimming I need to do. So I'm just going to cut really small pieces from this. Okay, so right here I can see that I can do some trimming right there to get this to fit better. So I'm just going to mark where my trim should be. Alright, so now we have our main foam recut out, but as you can see on the originals, there's the support foam. It's a little bit thinner that's been placed across much of the mask. So I'm going to cut that out of this thinner foam. Okay, so I have my foam cut out and I got it in a bunch of pieces over here, and now I want to attach it to my helmet. And the adhesive that I'm going to use is some contact cement. Now there's all sorts of adhesives that you can use, but got a lot of positive feedback from other goalies about contact cement. So that's what I'm going to be using. Alright, so we're going to start with these big foam pieces first. Okay, so we're going to open up this contact cement. Got a little brush. Just painting it on here. Got some on the foam. I'm going to put it actually on the mask too. Do the same thing to this other side. Okay, let's start with this one. Make sure the air holes line up with the vent holes. Just throw one clamp on there. It seems like it's tacking pretty good, like it's kind of unnecessary, but do that anyway. Okay, now I got this piece that I want to do next. Alright, so now we got our layer 2 foam. Alright, and that's all the foam. I just need to let this dry, maybe adjust some of the clamps every once in a while. Okay, and our helmet is just about done. I can take these clamps off the foam. So with the foam all installed and glued in and it's all set now, the only thing I need to work on now is the back plate. So this back plate I have not done much to at all, and I don't plan to do a lot to it. I do want to get some new foam in there. And then maybe some new hardware. I don't like these plastic clips. I'll get some solid metal ones. So first things first, let's cut out some new foam for it. We got some new buckles here. Okay, one last piece of hardware that I forgot to install. These snaps up here. So after I put these metal clips on, I just noticed that this elastic is worn out, and I don't want to use this mask with elastic this worn out, so I am going to replace that. Got new elastic for the back plate, so let's just replace this. Got to unbuckle the back plate again. Feels pretty good. Just adjust it a little bit. And there we have it, a refurbished helmet.
The mask looks and feels great. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The foam is comfortable and protective, and the straps really make it easy to pull on and off. The air vents keep me feeling cool. I've had a chance to play in this mask for several games and it feels great. Right now it isn't even my backup mask. It is the main mask that I'm wearing and will be until my special order comes in. And if you've recently completed your own restoration project that you're proud of, consider ordering a t-shirt that matches your restoration job. Links in the description below.